across all of the Elder Scrolls games, I've discovered that they're all in fact connected. In this video we will be translating other worldly languages and looking at the stars of Tamriel for more information on the Elder Scrolls 6 and some of the storylines that might be going on within it. Now, if you have not seen my last video where I go into detail about
right behind you
on the Elder Scrolls 6 being based in High Rock and Hammerfell, please go back and watch it, or this video simply won't make any sense to you. I've linked that video down below in the description for you. Now, the theory within that video does still make sense, but since creating today's video, I have overlaid multiple maps to check exactly where the candles have been placed in Skyrim and Hammerfell, and it actually gives us more huge hints about the Elder Scrolls 6, at least definitely being based in Hammerfell, if that wasn't already obvious from the original teaser trailer that Bethesda revealed. So let us begin our journey, and a shout out to Josiah Thompson, who pointed out the exact candle placement with a very insightful comment that inspired this video, however not completely accurate, so let's pick that apart. So as you guys can see, this is a map of Tamriel, and what I've done is I've overlaid loads of different maps in Photoshop from the various Elder Scrolls games so we can actually tell exactly where these candles are placed, because some of them actually give away more storyline. And also, just for your information, someone's made this incredible map that actually shows you the location of every Elder Scrolls game ever. So you've got Skyrim just over here, and you've got the Elder Scrolls Shadowkey here, and Daggerfall over here. And also Redguard, where we visit Hammerfell. So let's go ahead and zoom into the province of Skyrim. I've overlaid Skyrim's map over the region of Skyrim. Now, as you guys can see, it lines up with the borders absolutely perfectly. What I will mention though is if you look at the black dots that represent Markath, Dawnstar, Windhelm, Falkreath and Riften, they're actually not in the correct places compared to when the game was actually made. Like if you have a look at Falkreath, Riften, Winterhold and Dawnstar and Solitude, all of those cities and towns are in the correct position. So all of those line up. However, if you look at Whiterun and Markath, they're completely off. So there are some discrepancies between these maps before we start to move on with this video. So now we've got the map of Skyrim accurately placed, let's move on to the Twitter post that was made by the single player Elder Scrolls Twitter account, and also the single player Instagram account as well. Now this image has the placed candles, and it's going to show us the exact locations these candles are actually placed. As you can see on the map, I've lined these up extremely accurately based on the border of Skyrim and Hammerfell. Now you can see there's a little bit of a slight angle change because the photo was taken at an angle, whereas the original map of Skyrim was taken straight down. So you can see there's a little bit of blurriness on the right hand side, but for the most part, all of these borders match up perfectly, which is really important for the next part. Because the first candle I want to take a closer look at is the one that's technically in Hammerfell, across the border from Skyrim, which is the third candle from yesterday's video. Now I said in my video that the candle was in fact sitting above Dragonstar, but if you have a look, it's not sitting above Dragonstar, as you can see. It's not actually on any city. Now, in terms of my theory from yesterday's video still being accurate, Dragonstar's still going to be in the game. It still has a huge arena, so it still wouldn't surprise me that the Elder Scrolls 6 will have arenas within it. That was even the plan with Skyrim, but they were actually scrapped. I've already done a video on that too. What's most important is that that candle is still obviously in Hammerfell. But what location is it hovering over? Because that's really important to know. And then we're actually going to go back and look at the second candle as well, because there's a little bit more information about that too. And next, we're actually going to need to come to the map of the Elder Scrolls Online. As you guys can see, Western Skyrim is just over here. That was the latest DLC for the game. The Reach is just over here. And then you've got Bankarai and Craglorn. Now, the border for Skyrim basically sits along here. So Craglor is basically in Hammerfell, and that's where the candle is actually hovering over. But if we click on the zone of Craglor, you can actually see the Dragon Star Arena just over here. And then also, if you go right down to the south, Ellen here, the great city is located over here. So if I literally take that map and I line up Dragonstar and Ellen together, and then I go back and I look at where the candle actually is, you can see now we're going to have a location. And just so you guys know, I know the zones of the Elder Scrolls overlap into each other. It's just the way the game was designed. Now, I will say, in terms of accuracy, some of these exist within their own spaces. For example, if I click on like Valkyrie Hole, it's literally just one location that includes Valkyrie, and then it's just surrounded by like the abyss. So what we've done now is we've zoomed in between Skyrim and Hammerfell, and this is also High Rock up here, by the way, if you didn't know. And then on the bottom right corner, this is Cyrodiil. But specifically, we're looking at Skyrim and Hammerfell right now. So now if I overlay that map from the Elder Scrolls Online from Craglor, we can actually see at the top left the Dragonstar Arena and Dragonstar the town sits within that black dot on the map. And then Ellen here on the bottom right, which is a huge city, is partially covered by that black dot, and it's got those mountains as well. And also, Craglor pretty much fits on the border of Skyrim. It does go somewhat into the mountain range of Skyrim, but it doesn't overlap, so that makes sense. Now, before we go on, if we do overlay the candle at this point, you can see the nearest settlement is Balkarth, to the southeast. But the candle itself highlights the resting place of Ankh-Ra, one of the original warrior band of the Rhaegarda who invaded Tamriel from Yakuda in the First Era. In short, they then settled in Hammerfell and became known as the Redguards. But I think we need to overlay some more maps to actually get an accurate idea of what this candle is highlighting in Hammerfell. Now currently we have just been using official maps, but I couldn't help but use this map because it's actually pretty damn accurate. This map here was made by the Tamriel Rebuilt team, and it is drawn at a slight angle, I believe, so I have kind of tilted it beyond its north point. But as you can see, Dragonstar and Ellen here both line up on this map too. We're going to use it again in a moment. But first, let's go back to our Elder Scrolls Online map, and then we're going to go ahead and place the candle. Now, going back to the official Twitter image, I've lined it up perfectly with the border to Skyrim, Hammerfell, and Cyrodiil once again. I've absolutely pinpointed exactly where that border is going to be located on the map. So let's go ahead and get back the map of ESO. Now you guys can see where this candle falls. Now this is as accurate as I could get it. And if I go ahead and zoom in, we can see the exact location the candle is sitting on. Now what you'll notice is there's actually no towns or villages near this candle, apart from Balkarth, which is actually as close as you can get to the candle, which is why I also included this other fan-made map, because if I line up the cities perfectly with this, Balkarth Guard actually lines up perfectly. And I will say that the guys who made this map actually went off data from the Elder Scrolls Arena and so on. It's very accurately recreated, which is why I'm using a fan-made map in this video. So it actually sits directly on Balkarth Guard, which is a location that existed in the Elder Scrolls Arena. So to be as accurate as possible here, we can also bring in some other maps from the Elder Scrolls Arena, a game many of you have probably never played. And this right here is Hammerfell, High Rock's over here, Skyrim's over here, the Imperial Province is over here with Cyrodiil. But I don't consider this map entirely accurate. I think the game's kind of progressed a bit further past this. What you will see if we line up the 3 points of the map, Skaven, Dragonscar, and Ellen here, and then we go ahead and we put the candle on it, you can see that it's almost over Balkarth Guard as well. Almost, not quite though. I guess if we orientate it more like this, and then do the candle again, it's kind of still over it, but then the towns don't match up with their exact locations. So in conclusion, the third candle is placed above Balkarth Guard. a town you could visit in the Elder Scrolls 1
Wait,
arena
I
and
know
the
you.
Elder Scrolls Online. In the Elder
You
Scrolls
there.
arena, the town
You're
had
the one they
no
call
quest attached to
Dragonborn.
it other than being a possible random starting location after you escaped the Imperial prison.
The Greybeards seem to think so.
Online, based in the second
Then it
era,
is too late.
864,
The lie has
way
already
before
taken
the
root in
events
the hearts of
Skyrim
men.
Civil War. Belkarth is home
So
to
we
the
shall expose to
Stargazers
them the
Observatory,
falseness in their
and there's a
hearts
whole
by tearing
questline
out
in the Elder
yours,
Scrolls
deceiver.
Online that revolves
When Lord
around
Mirak
that story.
appears, all shall
Specifically,
bear
though,
witness.
keep the
None shall
Stargazers
stand to
Observatory
oppose
in
him.
your mind, since we will come back to it. But first, we're going to go back and take a look at the second candle. At the second candle here, because it's actually
Try and make
Let's go ahead and now the rest of the interaction
That's all you've got.
data from the game. So as you can see, I'm here above Solitude, and this is using in-game map data, so it is 100% accurate. And if we go
Wait,
ahead and
I know you.
overlay that exact map data over the lay of the land here where the candle is, you can actually see which locations fall underneath
You
the
there.
candle's placement.
You're the one they
I
call
also made another
Dragonborn.
version so you guys can very clearly see. We have 1, 2, 3 ships. Also, just to mention, I overlaid the map of the Elder Scrolls Online as well.
The Greybeards seem to think so.
In this area,
Then it
beyond
is
the
too
city
late.
of Solitude.
The lie has
So the
already
candle
taken
is not
root in the
placed
hearts
over
of men.
Solitude. So back to Skyrim.
So
Firstly,
we shall
have
expose
the
to them the
rest of
falseness
Ice
in their
Run,
hearts by
and
tearing
here's a
out
ship
yours,
which crashed
deceiver.
here east
When
of
Lord
Solitude.
Mirak
The
appears,
ship was
all shall
transporting
bear
passengers
witness.
and cargo
None shall
between
stand to
Solitude,
oppose him.
Skyrim, and Anvil
You there.
in Cyrodiil.
You're the one they call Dragonborn.
Pirate king of the Abyssinian Sea. The Abyssinian Sea is located south of Hammerfell. Secondly, as mentioned in my last video, we have a ship named which is Emperor Titus E's second ship. And the ship only arrives at the end of the Dark Brotherhood questline where you ascend era. I'd not be surprised if the trademark term Red Fall is referring to the fall of the Emperor and not the fall of the Red Guards. As many of you know in my last video, funnily enough, though, the ship is also where you find a unique weapon ship, which is a close from Hammerfell. But even more interesting, the third ship under the candle is the Now this is the only ship that is present at the start of the game. To get the Ice Runner to crash, you need to start the quest Lights Out and go to the lighthouse to turn out the lights, and then the Ice Runner will crash. And then to get the Emperor's ship to appear, you must reach the end of the Dark Brotherhood questline, when the Emperor arrives in Skyrim. Now there are a few strange things about the deity-slowed ship. Firstly, the Corsairs, or pirates, aboard the ship are not wearing the standard Corsair armor. If you check their bodies after you kill them, you actually find 2 of the Corsairs are wielding curved swords on Hammerfell, and also
Do you get to the
Red
Cloud
Guard
District
boots.
very often?
This would imply
What
that
am I
these
saying?
are obviously
Of course you
pirates,
don't.
and they've at some point visited Hammerfell.
Got
and
some good
taken
pieces
some
out
of the
here if you're
clothing
looking to
they
buy.
found or
More
stole
inside.
there with them. Now the fact that they have scimitars and Red Guard armor would not be so unusual.
Got some good
these
armor
are the
you
only
put together.
pirate mercenaries in Skyrim, the only NPCs in Skyrim that are actually wielding these scimitars and Red Guard boots. You see, the only other NPCs
Right
who
behind
use
you.
them in the game are the Pirate King of the Abyssinian Sea, the Alkir mercenaries in Whiterun, who also hail from Hammerfell, and Nazir, who is also from Hammerfell. Basically every single other NPC in Skyrim who uses the Red Guard armor and has access to a scimitar is from Hammerfell. So it's rather specific that these pirates have been to Hammerfell, because most importantly, if you come inside the deity-slowed ship, find the desk of the first mate who you can kill. On his desk, you will find a copy of the Firmament. Sorry if I'm pronouncing this stuff incorrectly, by the way, I'm dyslexic. It was not just one copy that's on his desk though. I can understand if there's one, but there are specifically 3 of them placed here. which is what
I
made
don't
me
claim to be
really
the
look
best
into this
blacksmith
book
in Whiterun.
specifically. Let me
Jorland
explain.
Greymane's
This
got that
book is
honor.
all about the
Man Steel
13
is
star
legendary.
constellations
All
of
I ask is
Tamriel.
a fair
3 of
chance.
them are major constellations known as the Guardians.
What have you got for sale?
Which are the warrior, the mage,
Looking
and
to
the
protect
thief.
yourself,
And these
or deal some
constellations
damage?
protect their chargers from the snake, which is the 13th constellation. The serpent moves throughout the sky in the different seasons, threatening each one of the guardians. Now, if you remember back to the observatory location in Belkarth Guard in Hammerfell, well, this book is very much connected to that quest that takes place during the
Don't
Elder
forget to
Scrolls
check inside
Online.
the shop if
In
you
short,
need anything.
the warrior, mage, and thief guardian star constellations fall from the sky, entering the mortal land of Tamriel as celestial beings, powerful ethereal beings, but still in their mortal form. And you must save them from the serpent during that quest line. Alternatively, this connection could be a complete coincidence. I mean, it's understandable that any sea wayfarer or pirate would need to understand star constellations in order to navigate the sea. However, the fact that there are 3 books specifically placed here still does seem like a bit too much of a coincidence. And obviously the Redguard clothing and the curved swords.
Got some
Everything
good...
does
Have you
point
met my
towards
father?
Hammerfell.
He's
Now,
the
speaking
steward
of
up at Dragon's
Hammerfell,
Reach.
Before we go into detail about the 3rd candle,
What have you got for sale?
the Firmament book has
The
2
finest
versions.
weapons and
There's
armor.
another earlier version that was written in the Elder Scrolls Adventures, Redguard, called Folke's Firmament. There was
All right,
also an
then.
observatory in the Redguard game located in Strosberkai, where you could actually look at the star constellations. But it was an ancient Dwemer structure. The observatory had an ancient star shard on the ceiling which depicts the ancient Dwemer complex understanding of the stars. But actually, if you look at the pre-Redguard Yokudans, they actually had a detailed understanding of the stars themselves, which they drew in the sand. You can see it was almost as advanced as the Dwemer, depicting the radial configuration of the constellations, but some of the runes are shown as circles and squares instead of the true form depicted by the Dwemer. If you also take a look at the actual Elder Scroll itself, you can see similarities
I
to
grew
the
up in a
Star
farm in
Map.
the
Now, this
plains
particular
here,
Elder
but I
Scroll is
wanted
the
to
one
be
that you
like my
steal from the
parents and
Imperial
become a
Palace
soldier or a
in the Elder
mercenary.
Scrolls Oblivion.
They were
And it depicts
somewhat
the
supportive.
Thief star constellation, which makes sense since it was used to break the curse of the Nocturnal Cow. Now, the stars of Tamriel are very much the creation of the mortal realm where Tamriel exists. There's a book within Morrowind, and this book is titled Lorcan and Satakal. If you did not know before Tamriel existed, the god Lorcan tricked the other Aedra gods into creating Mundus, the mortal plane where Tamriel, the continent that we know today, exists. After this creation in the Dawn era, Akatosh, the chief god, called a convention to decide Lorcan's punishment. This convention is recorded in the book Lorcan and Satakal. Akatosh is represented as Papa, and Sep is representing
Let me know if you
Lorcan.
see anything you like.
After Akatosh hit Lorcan, a quote from the book reads as
Everything's for
follows. While the
sale,
rest
my
of the
friend.
New World was allowed
Everything.
to
If I had a
strive
sister,
back to
I'd
godhood,
sell her in a second.
What have you got for sale?
Lorcan could only
Take a
sink
look.
around in a dead skin or swim about the sky, a hungry void that jealously tried to eat the stars. Now, I believe the dead skin is a reference to snakes, and the serpent does indeed swim around the sky to try and eat the other stars, as written by all of the Elder Scrolls astrologers. In fact, in the Elder Scrolls Online, this actually happens. You can even battle Lorcan, but after his punishment, he is very weak compared to actually fighting a god. The Thief star sign, in its mortal form, even says during that quest that the serpent is a deceiver by nature, because the serpent is the god Lorcan trying to regain his power. This also explains why the serpent has no season, and it doesn't act like a normal star constellation. In fact, I don't believe the serpent is actually made up of stars. It's just formed of glowing energies or holes to oblivion, which makes up another part of Lorcan. The Celestial Guardians are indeed just that. They were created by the other Aedra gods to hold Lorcan imprisoned in the sky. But why is all of this even important? Well, We know from the Elder Scrolls lore that after the creation of the mortal realm, Lorkhan's punishment took place at the Convention, a meeting of all of the Age of Gods to discuss Lorkhan's. This meeting took place in the Direni Tower, or the Adamantine Tower. This is also the oldest tower in Tamriel, since it was the first to be created. And it exists within the Iliac
You just
Bay,
let me know what you need. I
What have you got
beck
for
and
sale?
call.
which I believe the
Oh, a
Elder
bit of
Scrolls
this
6
and a
story
bit of that.
will take place revolving around this tower. Let me explain. Multiple towers actually exist throughout Tamriel, and they were all created by the gods. And it's believed that they are in place to stop Nirn,
Remember,
or the
I'll give
mortal
you the
realm,
best.
from dissolving back into oblivion. In the Elder Scrolls game, these towers always revolve around the central main story or plot of that Elder Scrolls title. For example, in Skyrim,
Come to
the
chat
Snow
with an
Tower,
old woman.
according to the book The Dragonborn, when the Snow
You tried
Tower
mercenary
lies
work?
sundered,
It might suit you.
painless, bleeding. This prophecy in the book The Dragonborn is actually
Looking for my
referred to
husband,
the
Nazim?
mountain, the
Check the
throat of
Jarl's
world,
backside.
which is also
That's usually where he
depicted
stuffs
on
himself
Aldor's
these
wall.
days.
And that prophecy is fulfilled in the
They can
Fourth era
barely
during the
tolerate our
events that take
presence.
place
Wait,
in Skyrim.
I know you.
Then we have the White
You're
Gold
the
Tower
best.
in Syria, which is powered by the amulets of the king,
Mister,
given
could
by
you
the
spare a
Age of
coin?
God Akatosh.
What is
when
it?
Uriel died
What has happened
at
to the
start
Gilder
of
Green?
the Elder Scrolls
I have traveled
Oblivion,
long here to
the
worship
Oblivion
beneath its
gates
branches.
opened due to the
It was
weakened
taken by a
barrier.
lightning
And
strike.
then, when the
Wish I
amulet
had
was
time to
actually
deal with it,
destroyed,
but
for a
it's hard
moment,
enough
it
with all these
completely
wounded from the
deactivated
war.
White Gold Tower
Please,
and let David
don't just let it
actually
stay like
pass
this.
the mortal
It's disgraceful.
realm from Oblivion.
I
And
really
when
don't have time to
Akatosh's
deal with you
avatar
right now.
reactivates the
Please
tower,
just let me
it
get back
ends
to
up
my work.
banishing him,
But this is
assumingly
supposed to be your
reactivating
work.
the power of the tower. And then again, in Morrowind, the story revolves around the Red Mountain, which is actually a tower that was created when
So,
Lorcan's
have you
heart
gotten
was
Nettlebane
tore out
back
by
from
one
those
of the
filthy
eight
hag
gods,
ravens yet?
Frinomac, and then given to Auriel, who fired an arrow to create the Red Mountain Tower. Obviously,
What's so
that tower
special about the
exploded,
Gilder
it's
Green?
now destroyed,
To the
along
east
with
of here
Lorcan's
is a
heart.
hidden grove
These
where the
towers
Elder Gleam
being
resides.
destroyed
It's the
is part
oldest
of the
living thing in
Thalmor's
Skyrim.
ultimate
Maybe all of
plan to
Tamriel.
achieve divinity.
Our tree here in the
Essentially,
city was
Thalmor's
grown from a
thing
cutting of that
that
tree.
destroying all the
You can
towers
still feel the
would
glory
stop
of the mother
cycle
tree
of
through it.
death. And
Even its
Mundus.
name is
and
an
then
echo.
Mundus would dissolve back into its
I found
original
Nettlebane for
state,
you.
unbound by mortal
Oh,
laws of physics.
well, I honestly didn't
reality,
expect you to
time,
come
and
back.
space,
Of
which
course, I'm
sounds
glad you did.
absolutely
Now,
crazy, but that is the Thalmor's
I don't really
ultimate
want to
goal.
touch that
And the
thing, though.
first adamantium
Do you think you
tower
could handle the
is
next
in
steps?
Iliac Bay, and it may be used in the
What
Elder
needs to be
Scrolls
done?
story.
Elder
Now,
Gleam
we're gonna
Sanctuary
get back
Grove
for
is
the
to the
third
east of
candle.
here.
And
You can
obviously,
use
as I said
Nettlebane
in
to
my
retrieve
last
some of
video,
its sap.
This candle sits upon the book, specifically on top of the book.
Was I
instead of
correct
on
in
the
hearing
map.
that you were
And next
traveling
it,
to the
we
Grove
have
of the
a
Elder
collection
Gleam?
of coins, one of which is the 2 moons that have cultural significance to the Khajiiti
All right,
culture.
then.
Now,
Was
do
I
think
correct in
with the
hearing that you were
space
traveling to the
star
Grove
theme
of the
we have
Elder
going
Gleam?
So far, these 2 moons are rather important. in
Can I
the
help you?
riddle in this theory. And I already
I am a
spoke about them
traveler,
quite a bit
a
in my
pilgrim.
last video.
I follow the voice
Where
of
did the two
Kinnereth
moons
wherever it can be
disappear to
heard.
for 2 years?
I've
Will it
dreamed
be
of seeing
revealed
Elder
in
Gleam for
Starfield?
years.
None
Might I
routes
travel
will
alongside
form.
you?
They're all connected.
I promise not to get in
moving
the
on.
way.
Many of you mentioned in the comment section of my last video the candle.
You're
might be
welcome to
placed
join
on a
me.
location that's beneath.
I thank you for your
And if we take a
kindness.
look at that for a moment, the candle is
It's a great
positioned
place to hunt.
on 2 locations that we can explore in the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Let's take another look in game now. So as you can see on the map, Winterhold is just over here and Dawnstar is over here. Now on the map above Winterhold we can see the College of Winterhold, but just to the north there's kind of like these 2
So
big
sick.
Pain
rocks
is so
that
Is
used
it
to be
hot,
the
please
last
stay?
to the left of that, we have another 2 rocks, which is the Tower Stone.
Last Emperor of Yakuda had sunk his tyrannous talons into the western lands, and under his watch,
Looking for my
the
husband,
legendary
Nazim?
sword singers were
Check the
systematically
Jarl's
executed.
backside. That's usually where he
For those
stuffs
few
himself
who
these
remained,
days.
hope was dwindling fast. Heroes
It's no fun
megalomania
getting
spread
pushed
across
around all the
war-torn
time.
Yakuda like a pestilence, and all who did not comply perished. For the last of the Sword Saints, there endured only one chance of salvation, and it brought them to the desert mountains, a parched march across barren badlands, with the full brunt of Hera's brigand army trailing in their wake. The scale of this perilous pursuit was almost beyond comprehension. The singers numbered in the tens of thousands, yet for every one of them, Hera had 30 warriors. The Emperor had recruited orcs, raiders, and any hired killer willing to sully the sanctity of the Sword Saints for a sack of gold. The scouts said Hera had over 1 million men. The war would be cataclysmic, and Yakuda itself would drown from the sheer volume of the bloodshed. The end was nigh. And yet, the prophets of the Way of the Sword did not succumb to despair, for there was one man, one brilliant warrior prince, one Ansei master of the Spirit Sword, who could turn the destructive deluge upon the tyrant Hera and his million-strong
Come by
horde
Bellathor's
of
shop at the
marauders.
market. I'm sure
This
we've had
man
something.
was Frandar do Hunding Hel Ansei no Shi.
Old friend.
The singers came to
Patron
him
of the
in
great
his
Got some
glad
good
cave,
pieces out here if you're
and it
looking
was
to buy.
Frandar's son,
More inside.
the bard turned warrior, Divad Hunding, who approached the heroic hermit. It was Divad's duty to persuade his father to end his pacifistic solitude and to take up the Shihai spirit sword once again, and he knew exactly what to say. You see, Divad had rejected the Way of the Sword as a young man, and despite the seemingly ceaseless unrest in Yakuda, he had chosen to make music instead of war. That was until the rise of Emperor Hera, who had sent 100 of his best soldiers to arrest
My
the
mother
son
was
of
a
the mighty
companion
Frandar.
before she married my
Perhaps
father.
the tyrant had foreseen
Always
his
told me
undoing
to
at the
stay away
hands
from
of these
them.
dissidents.
Never knew
Perhaps
why,
he merely wished
but I
to be the
listened.
only powerful man in Yakuda. Whatever the case, this proactive measure proved a fatal error for the Emperor. The text titled Divad the Singer states, "Being no fool, Hera sent 100 of his best guards, for even an unarmed singer was a very dangerous foe. The luck was that they were able to capture Divad and place him in chains, for they came at him as he sat dining with his elderly mother. The disaster was that as he surrendered, they rashly struck the pleading old woman. Too hard it would seem, for she fell dead with that single blow. That single faultless deed, as is often the case in war, was the one pivotal factor causing their eventual defeat. That act ignited in Divad the spirit of the Way. Up until that careless stroke, Divad was an ordinary artisan. No, an artist, a great artist, but no warrior. The moment of her death, Divad rose from his seat, took his chains between his two hands, and began swinging the heavy chain in a deadly arc. He slew 4 of the guards, gaining enough space to run and dive through the window and into the river. He disappeared into the night. With one fateful mistake, Hera galvanized father and son against his conquest. The 2 greatest Ansei warriors in all Yakuda. Divad climbed Mount Hatu and sought out his father's cave. Frandar Hunding, whose story shall be explored in this video, had retreated from society after an illustrious life as a sword saint. In his 60th year, when he was satisfied that he had achieved invincibility, he turned to philosophy. He developed the Way of the Sword in seclusion, and wrote his widely renowned Book of Circles. Once this was done, he began composing his death poem, so that he could join the Yakudan gods of war in the far shores. Initially, Frandar was unconvinced by the arrival of his son and the plight of the Ansei, for the master was preparing to ascend beyond mortal trivialities. But according to Divad the Singer, Divad re-entered the cave alone to speak with Hunding. To this day, no one knows what was said, what happened in that cave. Scribes of the time reported bright flashes of light and angry voices. 5 long hours came and went, then both emerged from the cave, Divad at Hunding's side. The sword singers had come upon Frandar Hunding on the verge of apotheosis. Like a mind on the brink between waking and dreaming, Frandar possessed wisdom beyond the confines of mortality, yet coherent enough to be processed by mortal minds. And he imparted this wisdom upon the martial ensemble. Those singers became known as the Army of the Circle, and Frandar showed them his strategies, his tactics, and the final great vision for a master stroke. The time had come to plan the conflict between the singers and Hera's horde. They were outnumbered 30 to 1, so only the most cunning of strategies would suffice. At the foot of the Father of Mountains, Frandar Hunding shared his accumulated wisdom with the tens of thousands of sword singers. Hunding devised a plan of 7 battles, leading the overwhelming force of Hera deeper into the wilderness. warriors, and turning back to face them for 6 fleetingly ferocious skirmishes
Fought to be
when the
dragon.
terrain was favourable. And it all culminated with one final fateful battle, the hammer and the anvil. Brandon was arguably the greatest warrior, and this army of sword singers was arguably one of the greatest armies ever to assemble. Even Raimi Isgramor and his mighty companions raised fists of mutual esteem at the valiance of the Western men. Alas, this does not change the
I think you can take the two of us.
It may be dead now.
1,000 fell when the hammer struck the anvil. The remnants of Hera's evil army scattered on the four winds. But the heroism of the singers was
Where
not
did it come
appreciated in Wartor and Yakuda. The populace had grown weary of the endless bloodshed, and to the masses,
It's really dead
the
then?
singers, despite their honor and their creed, still reigned in death.
Something's
So,
happening.
Ragnar led his followers to the coast, where a fleet of ships awaited. The singers left their desert home in search of foreign shores. The crux of Yakutan culture left the land and sailed east, chasing the beauty of the dawn. And the gentle citizenry rejoiced, for they saw not the virtue of the singers, but the red that stained their swords.
I've been looking for you. Got something
The
I'm
singers
supposed to
vowed
deliver.
to learn new
Your
ways
hands
as
only.
They traveled across the great ocean to their new
Let's
land.
see here.
To adopt a new
letter
name,
from the
but
Jarl.
to honor the past.
Moving up in the
In
world,
honor
eh?
of their final battle,
Looks like that's it.
They named their
Got to
new
go.
land Hammerfell and adopted the name Red Guards. And so begins the story of the Red Guards of Hammerfell. When we think of the Red Guards, we think of warriors. We think of curved swords. When we think of Hammerfell, we think of a vast and desolate desert. But these associations are such a disservice to them. In reality, the Red Guards have some of the most fascinating lore in the Elder Scrolls. From their gods to their customs, to their unique magic philosophy, to their Japanese-inspired culture.
You're rather hard
And
to track
Hammerfell hosts
down.
layer upon
I'll give you
layer of
that.
interesting civilizations, warring and cross-pollinating.
Who are you and what do you
In this
want?
video, we're going to explore
I was
all
asked to
these
find
topics,
you
as well
as
as
soon
the
as
current
possible.
political climate in Tamriel,
If you ask me,
to show why Hammerfell is the perfect location for the Elder Scrolls 6. But in order to do that, I want to return to Yakuda, to complete the Lost Continent's tragic story, and to discover just how this warrior culture came into being. Much like the Sengoku period of Japanese history, in which civil wars and social upheavals took place on an almost constant basis, spanning multiple centuries, Yakuda in the early First Era found itself in a state of perpetual unrest. Prior to this,
Wait. I know you.
fought to be dragon.
never seen such a thing.
What manner of magic is this?
Magic is this?
Stashed in their pants. Gods know what they do with it.
Please move quickly. Elder Gleam awaits us.
I've been looking for you. Got something I'm supposed to deliver. Your hands only. Let's see here.
Ah, a letter from the Jarl. Moving up in the world, eh?
Looks like that's it. Got to go.
Right behind you. Thane.
Maik wishes you well. Something strange happens to Khajiit when they arrive in Skyrim. Why do soldiers bother with target practice? One learns best by hitting real people. Maik has heard the people of Skyrim are better looking than the ones in Cyrodiil. He has no opinion on the matter. All people are beautiful to him. Maik is tired now. Go bother somebody else.
I cannot best you.
For Whiterun.
That's close enough. That's close enough. Never should have come here.
Boost!
I'll see you burn.
Fools! Roll!
Just a scratch.
You're rather hard to track down. I'll give you that. I was asked to find you as soon as possible. If you ask me, this problem sounds urgent. You'd best head on over to the Bannered Mare in Whiterun.
I'll see you burn.
What?
I'm getting out of here.
Hold it. This here's a toll road, see? You're gonna have to hand over, say, 200 gold if you want to use our road.
How about you let me through and I don't kill you?
You know, now that I think of it, that sounds fair. Just shove off before the others notice.
High Rock sounds like a beautiful province. You Bretons are underrated, I have to admit.
Fools! Oh!
Thinking of going in there might not be the safest thing to do, but I've got your back. Thane. Look at that. It's amazing. Not very welcoming, but I doubt that's the point.
Hello there, friend. Have you come to enjoy the sights and sounds of this beautiful sanctuary, as I have? Truly remarkable, isn't it? Kinnereth humbles us with her beauty.
Need something?
Hmm?
Praise Kinnereth for allowing such beauty in the world.
What is this place?
You are in Eldergleam Sanctuary. Just a small glimpse of what beauty Kinnereth has to offer. Wonderful place, isn't it?
And that tree, is that Eldergleam?
Yes, my friend. Though no one has been able to get close to her for as long as I can remember.
Why not?
As you can see, Eldergleam's roots are large and stretch far, blocking any path to her trunk. Though, believe it or not, There are rumors of a weapon that even Eldergleam herself would lift her roots for, more out of fear than respect.
You mean this weapon?
The rumors were true. I beg of you, don't harm the tree. Nothing good can come of it.
If you don't have a light, you can't see where you're going. If you do, people can see you coming. That's why I hate caves. Thought you could. Right behind you. You're not much of a warrior, are you? We could remedy that at some point if you'd like. It has me somewhat concerned. Really, look at that. It's amazing.
Make it quick.
Still here. Right behind you. Still here.
Talos the mighty, Talos the unerring, Talos the unassailable. To you we give praise. We are but miles, riding in the filth of our own corruption.
No lollygagging.
I've got the sap.
Wonderful. I'll use it to repair the tree. Thank you so much for all your help.
I'd like training in restoration magic.
I'll gladly share my knowledge with you. Grace of Kinnereth be with you.
Make it stop.
The fever. My body burns.
Still here.
So sick. Can hardly stand.
Let's go.
Today, they take away your faith. But tomorrow,
Wait. I know you.
through the elves,
Heard they're reforming the Dawn Guard. Them. Or something. One fort near Riften. Might consider joining up myself.
and what does the Empire do? Nothing!
By Izmir, we helped save the Guild Agreement. Words can't express what that means to this city. Need supplies? See Bellathor at his store. Sleazy little man. He has good stock.
Come to Dragon's Reach to discuss the ongoing hostilities, like the rest of the great warriors?
What have you got for sale?
Take a look. You know, if you've got the aptitude, you should join the Mages College in Winterhold.
Still here.
It seems this damnable conflict has claimed everyone's passions of late. Me? I prefer my books and my spell. That's a decent enchantment, but keep studying. You've only scratched the surface.
Wait, I know you.
And deserve our praise you do, for we are one. Ere you ascended, and the 8 became 9, you walked among us straight travel.
Careful if you cross the river to the east.
You there. The Dawn Guard is looking for anyone willing to fight against the growing vampire menace. What do you say?
I haven't noticed any vampire menace.
You're not paying attention then, like almost everyone else around here. Haven't you heard that the Hall of the Vigilance was destroyed by vampires? They never took the threat seriously, and now they paid the price.
Vigilance? Dawn Guard? What are you talking about?
The Vigilance mostly hunt down Daedra worshippers, which is why they got torn to pieces when they went up against vampires. That's why our leader, Isran, is re-establishing the Dawn Guard. Real, serious vampire hunters.
What's the Dawn Guard?
We're vampire hunters. We search out and destroy those blood-sucking scum wherever we find them.
Killing vampires? Where do I sign up?
Ha! Isran's going to like you. Go talk to him at Fort Dawn Guard, southeast of Riften. He'll decide if you're Dawn Guard material.
Wait.
Right behind you.
Need a ride?
I'd like to hire your carriage.
Where do you want to go?
Morthal.
Climb and back, and we'll be off. Oh, steady. Nice weather for a ride. Hope it lasts.
What's the Jarl going to do about it?
How are we supposed to feel safe in our own homes?
Please, enough already.
Maybe we should take
I have
care
told
of the
Ygritte of your
fiasco with the
concerns.
burned down
She'll
house
look
while
after
we're
you all.
here.
Please, go about your business.
We've no need for wizards in our midst.
Morthal has enough problems as it is.
It's no use. Let's get back to it then.
Keep your wits about you.
Unless it's about the mill.
Morthal's hardly
I
a
don't have
safe
time to
place.
talk. Too much to do.
You seemed upset about something.
The world's going mad, and our Jarl does what? She hides inside with her visions. We need a leader, not some mystic.
What isn't the Jarl dealing with?
Trust you saw the house that burned down. Peculiar bit of business that was. And that's on top of noises from the marsh in the night. Tales of monsters. And now this wizard in our midst. What's a man to do if he can't look to his Jarl for help?
You don't trust the Jarl.
How can I? She never speaks with us. She's allowed this wizard Falcon to live in our midst practicing gods know what. And now there's talk of rebellion and dragons? What help could Ygritte be against them? No. We can only rely on ourselves. You do well to remember that. See ya.
What could it mean? Return of the Dragonborn? And who among us could possibly hold that honor? With such power?
Here for work. Get an axe and bring me all the wood you can chop.
Look at you. Look.
Right behind you.
Force! See you burn!
Never should have come. I cannot bear
down already!
Someone there. Over here!
Force! Roll! Force! Roll!
Thane.